produce some excellent driving skills in the years to come. Even in the four-wheelers, we have had a change of trend this year. There have been, of course, the Formula Indias, which are entirely built in this country. But there are also the imported Formula Fords, which are entirely built overseas and brought in here for the races only, to be driven by the drivers from our own country. That is number 17.
The people to watch in this race of Grand Prix motorcycles Group A up to 350cc are Steve Tonkin riding number 6, riding an Armstrong, Yoshiharu Matsumoto number 7, Neil Tuxworth number 8, Gordon Huxley number 9, and Gordon Huxley, incidentally, the brother of last year's winner, Derek Huxley. Derek Huxley riding number 2, riding a Yamaha, and Tony Carey, the dark horse perhaps, riding number 10. Steve Tonkin will be riding an Armstrong. Yoshiharu Matsumoto, number 7, will be riding a Yamaha. Gordon Huxley riding a Yamaha. Tony Carey riding a Yamaha TZ. And Derek Huxley riding a Yamaha. From the Indian side, Aspi Batina riding a Yamaha, and Ghulam Muhammad Sharfuddin riding a Yamaha TZ. Sri Lanka's challenge will be through Dallas Mottenstein, number 19, on a Yamaha. All riders, barring 2, will be riding water-cooled 350cc machines. There will be 2 riding 250cc's, and that is Steve Tonkin and Tony Carey. The riders there, all lined up. Number 7, Tony Carey. Number 10, Gerhard Vogt. The German riders put in a tremendous performance this morning. Number 2 there, Aspi Batina. I beg your pardon, Derek Huxley, last year's winner. Cool, calm, composed. Very genteel person. You wouldn't believe if you met him that he was a man who did some daredevil riding.
In the earlier race for this 6-lap sprint, it was unfortunate that Derek Huxley and Yamamoto had late starts, and they were not able to come anywhere in the lead, though Derek Huxley did pull up to 3rd position from nowhere.
Subhash Chandra Bose there, warming up his machine and his tires for this 25-lap Grand Prix.
With similar machines, they all look alike, don't they?
Yes, they do, and that makes identification a bit of a problem. There's number 11 there, Bernhard Cohen from Germany. Number 18, Rolf Becker, also from Germany.
It's very heartening to know that the German team has been coming back to Sholavaram for the 3rd year in succession. It speaks good of us, and it's very sportive of them. They race in tracks all over the world, and some of them have recently returned from Indonesia, and other Asian tracks in Malaysia and Philippines to participate at Sholavaram. Most of them find it very expensive, but for their sponsors they would not be able to afford this sport. But nevertheless, it is their enthusiasm for the sport which brings them here at all costs. And riding with them, our own boys gain a lot of experience too. Now we see one of the mechanics looking after the machine while the rider has probably gone to put on his helmet. That machine, I think, belongs to one of the Germans. That's Tuxworth, Neil Tuxworth. On his number 8, he was doing very well in the earlier sprint, but lost his first position somewhere on the 5th lap of that sprint. But he is not to be ignored. He's a good rider.
Yes, Vijay, Neil Tuxworth, Graham Huxley and Derek Huxley. Derek Huxley, of course, the 82 winner. All from Great Britain, all very fast and all regulars at the Isle of Man. For those who don't know, the Isle of Man is a race, a very dangerous race run on closed public roads in England. And for that reason, the Isle of Man race for motorcycles has indeed become very, very famous the world over.
We also have participants in this event from Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan riders, earlier known as Ceylon, have always had a good record of racing. I remember that in 1957, when we had our first organized race meet at this Sholavaram's airstrip, Zaki Dean was the rider from Ceylon, who was the darling of the spectators, and he had a Norton Special which went beyond 75 miles per hour in that particular year. That was in 1957. Well, now the speeds are much higher. The machines are supremely built. Some of them are air-cooled, as we said earlier. They all have disc brakes and 5-speed and sometimes 6-speed gearboxes, and it's fun to watch them approaching a U-turn from a top speed, changing down rapidly from 6th to 5th to 4th to 3rd. And well, we see a clear view of number 17, which is Dasanayake from Ceylon, and of course number 5 is Subhash Chandra Bose from Madras. Very experienced rider, devoted to the sport of motor racing, steady rider. With such a good machine, the combination will make well. He looks fine.
Vijay, we've been looking at all these riders lining up at the grid, but missing from these seems to be Steve Tonkin, number 6, and he was the man we were all looking forward to see on his Armstrong, but he's nowhere to be seen. And I wonder if our cameras can pick him up, because we have tried to look, and through our glasses we still cannot locate number 6, but the race will show in due course. Photographers there taking last-minute pictures. Teammates, mechanics, all now moving off, ready for the clutch start. Number 5 has just gone into the pits, and in the meanwhile is the starter's Hutter.
Yeah. Well, the flag is up, and in a second you'll hear a roar. Well, there it is. Number 8 has taken the lead straight away. Derek Huxley is way behind. Number 8, Neil Tuxworth, as before, great advantage, going around that western U-turn, far ahead of the others. The few precious seconds he has gained that way will stand him in good stead. He's already at the dangerous MRF left turn. They all are there now, one behind the other, and number 2 still holds on. Already at the northern U-turn, which is the dog bone.
Derek Huxley got off to a late start there. He had a lot of problems. He must have started about 5 seconds after the rest of the bunch. He did start anyway, and he's at the tail end of the group. But here's the leader, number 8. Neil Tuxworth. Neil Tuxworth on a Yamaha 350cc, water-cooled. Approaching the U-bend at the eastern end. Going into the outside line and taking a nice, wide, calm, calculated turn and going up through the gears, 2, 3, 4, very soon into 5 and 6 and top speed down the straight, up the hump there, and then now down the hump, covering the first lap in approximately 1 minute 43 seconds, and now reaching into the eastern end, the western end, taking the U-bend is Neil Tuxworth.
The race has completed just 1 lap, and already number 9, Gordon Huxley, has overtaken Neil Tuxworth. But then there are still 24 laps to go, and anything can happen in these 24 laps. Some of the calm and collected riders may well come up ahead. The markers you see, which you just saw, were the distance markers from the U-turn. Well, we have a long way to go before the end of this race, and fortunately Sharif Dayan is with us. Sharif Dayan is a veteran motorcycle rider who has charmed the crowds of Sholavaram in the years past. And let's hear what Sharif has to say about this Grand Prix with these beautiful machines on the track. Sharif?
Thank you, Vijay. As you know from the first race, the small race which we had for 6 laps, that more or less every bike on the track is nearly about the same in power. It's a question of riding technique that has to come out of the riders, and it has been proved by Gordon Huxley that he could do a good job of leading the pack, and he's doing that right now coming down the straight, past the grandstand, followed by Roland Forzen, who won the short race, and by Neil Tuxworth and Gordon Huxley. And there is the 250cc Yamaha ridden by Matsumoto, who is in 4th or 5th position, I think. The race is getting exciting as the back markers are catching up with the leaders. And there is Gordon Huxley going down the first left bend, followed very closely by Neil Tuxworth. And now I can't see the numbers. Here's Gordon Huxley. Now Gordon is taking his second U-bend, coming up to the second left turn. He's going to be overtaken by Neil Tuxworth, and Neil's coming to the inside line, but Gordon stuck onto his line of riding, and there he takes the second left bend, going towards the last U-turn, and shifting his body weight into the corner, and then straightening out immediately after the finish of the corner. He is very closely followed by Neil Tuxworth, as you can see. I hand it over to Mr. Vijay.
Well, folks, there are going to be quite a few changes in the first position, surely, because the race is still in the beginning stages. It's a 25-lap race. There's a neck-to-neck tussle, and what do you know? Number 12 has now overtaken number 9. Number 12 is Roland. They really start Roland keeps up at this rate. He is going to repeat his victory. They are now at the dangerous MRF left turn. Now the Grand Prix has got certain features which are worth knowing. What you see now is the 300, 200 and 100 meter markers showing the distance from the approaching U-turn. But coming back to the Grand Prix, a 25 lap race, as I said, each lap 3.2 kilometers, making the total race 80 kilometers, is the longest race of the day. And this would mean that the rider has got to retain his skill of riding for the entire length of the 80 kilometers, besides the very important fact that his machine must keep up optimum performance right through till the last lap, till he finishes. And it is not uncommon to find machines breaking down much ahead of the finish, because the rider would have taken the maximum juice out of it far too earlier in the race. Sometimes it pays to ride steady and come out ahead, because coming back to the race that is going on, number 12, Roland, still in the lead, very comfortably in the lead, followed by Gordon on his number 9. And then comes Matsumoto. If you remember, Matsumoto is riding a 250cc Yamaha, whereas the others are riding a 350cc. And Matsumoto has made it clear that he will give a challenge to the 350cc's. Perhaps that is what he's doing. He had a little disadvantage when he had a late start, but with 25 laps, a late start may not mean too much. That's number 12 again in the lead, still in the lead. Well, a word about the Grand Prix once again. Once the lead bike has completed 25 laps, the race is brought to a close, because all the other followers are supposed to finish the race within the next one lap, or within the next 3 minutes, as per the rules. And once the race is finished, competitors who can be classified as finishers are chosen. And what is a finisher? A finisher is one who has completed a minimum of 18 laps and who is not more than 1 lap behind the leader. Well, back to the race. There is number 12. He is now going to lap. He is going to lap the last man in the race. The straggler in the race is apparently number 17. Well, the positions are number 12 ahead, followed by Gordon Huxley in number 9, followed by Matsumoto, followed by Derek Huxley. Credit to Derek Huxley, in spite of the late start, has pulled up to 4th position. The lap recorders have a very busy time in Grand Prix races, because they have to keep track of the number of laps completed by each participant, which is a difficult job considering the high speed of these machines. This year, a feature of great improvement on the organizing side is the electronic equipment which has been installed from Seiko, Japan, for recording the number of laps completed by the competitors. Well, folks, number 12 way ahead. Number 12 way ahead has completed 6 laps. We see a signal from the starting line which announces that the leader has completed 6 laps. Sheriff tells me that Derek Huxley, number 2, who is at present in the 4th position, is gradually inching his way ahead and is bound to catch up. He has Matsumoto just in front of him in the 3rd position. 2nd position is Gordon Huxley. Roland well ahead of the others. Now each competitor, including Roland, has his own crew members at specified points on the side of the track, and his crew members will feed him information about his performance by signals. The rider has to be told by his crew as to how many laps he has completed and which lap he is on now, beside other simpler information like whether he should speed up a little more or take it easy. It is the crew members who can take certain decisions when they see the overall picture of the race. They have just completed the 7th lap of the race. Derek Huxley has just now overtaken Matsumoto, but in the meantime they have reached the western U-turn, and we have to see who comes out first from that western U-turn. Number 9 is in the 2nd position, and well, Matsumoto is still in the 3rd position, and Derek Huxley is still behind him. But Derek Huxley is giving the Japanese Matsumoto a real tough fight, all the time on his tail.
Roland Forstchen then sitting pretty in position number 1. A keen competition, however, for position 2, 3 and 4. Riders closing in on one another. And here's the leader taking the U-bend at the eastern end of the strip. And now he comes down the straight, picking up speed, getting into 4th, 5th and 6th gear, going over the hump, and then racing down the track, only to go down the gearbox to slow down to a very low speed to take the U-bend at the western end. There he is, Roland Forstchen, very comfortable. Leon Sheriff here with us, keeping a very keen eye on what's going on. Into the dog bone, comfortably rounded, taking an outside line, coming up towards the dividers and then slowly now swinging away. There it is, taking that left-hander, the Bippies corner, close to the edge of the track. Jockeying himself into position for as good as possible in terms of aerodynamics, cutting through the air. And there's a view of eastern U-bend. Roland Forstchen now picking up speed. From here we estimate that at top speed down the straight stretch he would be doing something like 135 miles per hour. Quite a bit of distance between the first two riders. I guess about 3 seconds between them, which is quite a lot, but then when you view it as a 25 lap race, it isn't too much. Look at him, hugging the bend, hugging to his motorbike, and taking good care of the unevenness at that MRF corner. There are all kinds of cambers there at that corner, which have been the Waterloo of many a competitor earlier this morning. Sheriff, what kinds of speed do you think they would be doing at the two left-handers?
The two left-handers, since the left-handers have been paved recently, so giving them a much inner corner, they would be touching around 80-85 miles an hour.
Which would put them in the 3rd or 4th gear there?
Not necessarily. passed second into the corner, third out of the corner. So they'll be getting into between 70, 75, 80 range.
Friends, the race started with number 8, Neil Tuxworth in the lead. He had a beautiful start, well ahead of the others. And within a matter of 2 laps, he was overtaken by Gordon Huxley, a newcomer to Lavaram. And before the 6th lap was over, positions changed very fast. Gordon Huxley was overtaken by Roland, and thereafter Roland kept up his lead, which he maintains till this moment. And similarly, the 2nd and 3rd and 4th positions have also changed. Derek Huxley, who had a very late start, was able to come up to 4th position, and in the last 2 laps has now come to the 3rd position. The Japanese Matsumoto was holding on to 3rd position for 4 or 5 laps till he was overtaken by Derek. The position now is number 12, Roland Worston, in the lead, followed by Gordon Huxley in number 9 in the 2nd position, and Derek Huxley, number 2, in the 3rd position, and the Japanese Matsumoto number 4. No, that's the 4th position. The competitor number is never before we had such a excellent turnout of high-speed machines for a Grand Prix. This is the first year, and the crowds have been given their money's worth. They are tremendously excited. We have a signal that the 11th lap has been completed. Roland is on his 12th lap. And a Grand Prix event which could tend to be boring because of the number of laps is not so today because of the fast changing positions and the high-speed machines that are on the track just now.
Dhyan, a 25-lap Grand Prix of this type means a test of man and machine, and there certainly must be some kind of a basic strategy which riders employ. I'm sure you cannot tell each one's strategy, but were you riding this race, what kind of a strategy would you employ?
Well, first and foremost thing is to keep your revs up in the power band of the engine to get maximum power. But at the same time, realizing your position, you've got to throw to the winds certain aspects of durability to cope up with the lost ground so that you cover the ground faster than the others in the front. At the same time, maintaining the temperature, because these are water-cooled engines. Mostly all of them are water-cooled engines. So one has to maintain the water temperature to see that it doesn't go beyond 85 to 90 degrees, failing which the engine would bust. So having that under control, if the vehicle produces the power, then you've got to go in for faster and tighter corners. We've just seen that Derek Huxley has overtaken his brother Gordon Huxley just before the first left-hander and proceeding towards the second U-turn. And like I said, the gear ratio has always been maintained that whenever you get into the right corner, you're in the right gear.